Hello and welcome back to DomTalksTech, and in today's video we're discussing and talking about the features in the new Oppo Find X2 Pro, which is a new phone from Oppo and it's only just been released, as in the features have just been released, and the phone is not actually on sale just yet, but it should come on sale shortly in the future, and this is a very exciting phone. So without further ado, let's get started. Okay, so as always, I'll put the breakdown of some of the specs there, and then we'll just discuss the main specifications and some of the really exciting features on the Oppo Find X2 Pro. Okay, so this phone is going into direct competition with that of Samsung's Galaxy S20 and S20 Ultra, and with that brings some really exciting specs with it as well. So we have 512GB of memory, and that's the base model there, which is really exciting. And it also has UFS 3.0, so super fast memory, which is really good. Along with that, it has 12GB of RAM, so anything, all the tasks that you try and do on the phone should work really smoothly. And as well, along with that, the stuff you can do, like on Samsung's phones, you can pin some apps to the RAM, and it means that they'll stay open all the time. And you won't have to keep reopening them every time you launch that application. Annoyingly, this phone has no room for expandable memory, so that's a little bit of a downside, but still with 512GB of memory, you should be putting plenty of memory space on the phone there. So the two biggest features about this phone, and the two best features about this phone, is the display and the new camera setup that Oppo has put into their phone. So the display is a 6.7-inch display. So it's quite a nice size. It's fairly big, but not quite as big as that Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra with the 6.9-inch display. It has a OLED display with a 120Hz refresh rate, which is obviously really good and really exciting, and it goes again directly in competition with that of the Samsung Galaxy S20 lineup. Okay, so unlike the Samsung Galaxy S20 lineup, you can have the QHD Plus display on at the same time as the 120Hz display, which is obviously a really good feature, and it makes everything on your phone look really fluid and fast. Although the only downside with that is that the battery life on this phone is only 4,260 mAh. So again, it's whether you want to take that massive cut in the battery life, and obviously you're going to consume a lot more battery life if this feature is on constantly. Obviously it looks really nice, but again, you've got to think about if you want to use it all day, then you're going to have to conserve some battery life by turning that down to FHD. So again, along with most phones on the market today, the Oppo Find X2 Pro has a Gorilla Glass 6 display on the front and the back, so it should prevent any breakages from accidental drops, etc. Okay, moving on to the camera then now. This is obviously one of the really exciting things about the Find X2 Pro, and it's one thing that Oppo have been really keen to push out there. If we just go through those cameras, first talking about the back cameras. So the back cameras, we have a 48 megapixel wide angle camera, which will be your main shooter on the Oppo Find X2 Pro. And then we've got a 48 megapixel as well, ultra wide angle camera, which is obviously going to give you those really wide shots, which we see a lot of in cameras and smartphone cameras now. And also finally, we've got a 13 megapixel periscope telephoto camera, which is going to give you that really clear zoom in on portrait photos. So you can zoom up to 60 times zoom, which is obviously really impressive. It's not quite as far as that super resolution zoom on the Samsung Galaxy S20 Ultra, but it's still a really clear zoom in, and it's quite impressive on a smartphone as well. So if we move on to the front-facing camera, we have a 32 megapixel front-facing camera, which is going to give you those really clear selfies to be able to use on Instagram and other social media sites as well. The colour science on photos on the Find X2 Pro seems to be really impressive. It works really well. The white balance is often really clear in the photos, and it gets that really quite accurate which is quite different from other smartphones that often overexpose the photos, which is a bit of a shame. The only thing that appears to be a downside in the photos is sometimes the HDR setting on the photos does mean that the things like the sky on images is lost a little bit. The software which Oppo have been refining for years now is the ColorOS 7.1, which is based on that of Android 10, and they have done a lot of work to make sure that the keyboard is now just a Google keyboard, so that comes standard on the Oppo Find X2 Pro. So working alongside that software, we've got a Snapdragon 865 processor, which again is the new one from the Snapdragon range there. So it should give you all the speed that you can be capable of on a smartphone today. Quickly mentioning that 4260 mAh battery, it is capable of 65 watts fast charging, which is really good in the way that it should charge your phone super fast, but bad in the way that it takes away from that wireless charging. So wireless charging isn't a feature on the Oppo Find X2 Pro. However, you have got super fast charging, which should be good for most users. There's a couple other features on this phone, such as IP68 rating for dust and water resistance, and it also is capable of 5G, so you can have this on a 5G network as well. Oppo have released this phone in two colours. We've got a black ceramic version, and we've also got an orange vegan leather version as well, which is a really interesting colour for a smartphone. In the UK, this phone is going to cost around about £1,100, so it's up there with quite a significant price. But again, you get all these really massive killer specs as well. It might not be a phone that you necessarily heard of a lot, but it's a phone that is a really competitive player against those big phones like the Samsung Galaxy S20 lineup, as I've already mentioned, and also Apple's phones coming in September as well, the iPhone 12, and again the Google Pixel phones as well. As always, if you've enjoyed this video, do feel free to give the video a like. It really does help the channel. And also, if you're new to the channel and you've enjoyed this video, feel free to subscribe with that notification bell on, so that you get the notification as soon as I release a video. If you have any questions about this phone, do feel free to comment them down below, and I'll get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.